A couple examples of what I've done here is this particular one, I do the arcing from the tail end, and then this one is pretty difficult because you have to match the ink line from one index to another. In other words, one of these arcs is made from two different indexes. And so that, I'm not going to demo that tonight. We'd be here till tomorrow. The other one, which I'm going to mimic here tonight, this one is laying in here, yeah, like that. And I'm going to do these arcs. They're a little bit easier. The whole thing's done from one index. And so we'll start with that. The thing where I'm going to start is doing these radial lines that delineate where the particular pattern's done at. Like this piece here, you can see I've got an occlusion here, or something I kind of want to hide a little bit. So I'll do, what I plan on doing is one of these down here. And doing all these horizontal lines here is very time consuming, so I'm probably not going to do those. I'll set it up, show you how it's done, but the radial lines I'll do, and I'll not waste your time with these things and get right to the curves.
You do those directly on, you don't put a finish on there before you do those?
Good point. It's got 2 coats of urethane on it, sanded back, flat, so no shiny spots. And by the way, I learned how to do this by taking a clinic of Steve Sinner's here at the shop a few years ago, and it was invaluable. I learned a lot about dressing up a round and brown piece. So credit to Steve. All right. What I've got on the headstock here so far is an indexing plate. Lathes come with an indexer, but they're very difficult to operate. This one has any variable of delineations that you can index to. And then I made you can buy these little stands that locate, but I made this one. For doing the radial lines, the one that go around the part, I use a flat plate here. And the idea is to have something that a magnet can stick to, because I use one of these that holds the pen very, very loose. It just has to sit on there with its own weight. And so the idea is to get this thing on there, and then so it's the pen sitting straight on. The pens themselves, I use these rapidograph pens. They have a cartridge that you put your ink in, and the pen comes in different sizes, and they work by you just have to have it touching. It'll I forget what the name is, but if you have it perpendicular to the work, and I'm too shaky to be able to do it by hand, but that's why the apparatus is used for that. Yeah, yeah.
What kind of ink is that?
It's India ink. I find it pretty easy to clean the tools with water. They do have a solution that helps with that, or alcohol. You can use alcohol to clean them with too.
Where do you get them from?
Dick Blick has them, or you can buy them online. Amazon's got them. These are, the brand is Kohinoor, Kohinoor. And I bought a set of, I think, 7 pens. It was like $130. I don't know what they are now, but you can buy them 1 pen, and they're different sizes by millimeters.
Did
Like,
you just buy the cartridges that fit into each one of those?
I don't think so.
No.
I think you gotta buy the whole pen,
Okay.
because that's
Different brand.
different brands, you can.
If you buy a road train,
Mhm.
they only use ink cartridges, but you can't put anything else in, you have to use their cartridge.
Oh, yeah, okay. These you can refill, yeah, you can refill your own reservoirs. Yep. So, I will start by.
And do you just refill them with like a syringe? Or
No, let's see, did I bring one of those? I don't think so. I didn't bring an ink cartridge, or I mean a bottle. Because you lay them down, they invariably leak, so I didn't even bring one. But it's just a little plastic bottle, and then you take the lid off, and it's got a real skinny neck on it. And you can drip it right into those little,
so essentially kind of
Wheels.
like CA glue that has that really
Yeah.
fine tip and
Yeah.
okay, same
Yeah.
way. Okay.
and once in a while you can do it without making a mess.
You said once.
What do you use to get it off your hands?
Time. All right.
I assume when you rotate it, that engages the magnet.
What was that?
So when you were sliding it across the base, you were rotating, that was engaging the magnet?
Yes, this little deal right here. It's a,
Yep. It
Yep.
just rotates the
Yep.
magnet for polarity. Okay.
okay. Got a. Got an empty one here. I usually screw that in there to get my alignment.
Going perpendicular to the surface.
Perpendicular to the surface, yeah. If you don't get a consistent line. I got that pretty well set. Let's see, we'll go with the this wide line, I guess, is 1.2 millimeters. And
You're talking about
the thickness, yeah, the width of the line that it's going to make. Yeah. And the one thing I forgot to do. I usually take the belt off of there so that it turns freer. And when it comes back around, I take a look at the indexer and then go around twice.
Did that dry pretty quick, or?
It takes a while. Yeah, you can't touch it for a
It
couple,
won't run,
couple hours. No, it won't run. Yeah.
The rest of your articulating.
This, I bought the apparatus here to hold the pen, and I think I got. Don't you have these bases as well, Steve? These magnetic bases.
Bases, yes.
Yeah. So Steve sells the whole thing here. So now I got a really thin one here. This is 0.3 millimeters. And I moved this over just a little bit to make a shadow line next to it.
So that's a kind of micrometer adjustment you use to move the.
Yeah, right. It's not doing very well there. It's all right. All right, so now move over to the other one. About there. I've already found out that I didn't get this sanded really well down here because there's a couple spots where it didn't adhere. And that's what happens.
So does the ink penetrate pretty deeply that you won't be able to sand it off? And
You can sand it off, yeah.
you can? Okay.
There's 2 coats of urethane on here.
Oh, so it doesn't let it
And
bleed
so
through?
if you make a mistake, actually I've found that if I take some alcohol, I can wipe most of it off, and sometimes good enough, but if not, then you can just sand it off.
How fine do you sand that?
600, yeah.
And do you reapply the varnish or not? If
Yeah,
you sand it.
after you're all done, or if you get a section done, then,
If
you
you
put more
sanded
coats
to
on.
erase it.
pardon me?
So if you sanded it to erase the line, would
Yeah.
you reapply varnish in that section or not?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, now normally, I have this little sled here that holds a pen, and to do all these lines there, I index it and make sure that this pen is sitting on center vertically. And I've made a little mark on this tailstock here to make sure that is exactly on center. And then I'll I'll do the lines, index it, do another line, index it, so all the way around.
You do that by hand then, sliding?
Yeah, slide
little tool.
slide this thing back and forth, yeah. Yep. And okay, let's get this one. So this one will be the end position of the curves, and then the curves will come down from here. And I just pick a spot there beyond the shoulder, and I don't know what looks best, I guess, but I usually go about that far. And then it'll end up down here, so then my detail is kind of on the upper 1/3 of the vessel. And you think in thirds, it ends up looking better typically. So that's where my fat line's going to go.
When you put that down and when you stop, do those ink cartridges, you have to worry about holding it for very long where you might get a blob?
It can,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, it's good to get it up right away. Yeah. Right there, about 0. That one did better.
I guess I never noticed. You do that shadow line on almost all your stuff?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Why do I do that, Steve? Shadow lines.
Yeah, the shadow lines just add some interest. That makes a huge difference if you have a shadow line or not.
All right. So that's all the radial lines I'm going to do. Like the ones here, if I do a set in the shoulder there, they're kind of hard to get it perpendicular to the work, but you can do it. But sometimes, you got to look here and visualize you're perpendicular to it. But
If you're not exactly perpendicular, does the lines just not match up when you come around? Or what?
though they'll match up, but they might not be a consistent thickness. Yeah. All right. Done with that guy. So the curved lines, I changed out the banjo with my own, because I've got a bolt here that tells me where the position of this is going to be for the arcs. And got a little apparatus that bolts to this and holds that perpendicular, because the arcs have to be in the same line. You know, the starting point is right on center. So I use this to get that. Thanks. Demo had been over. I couldn't find that. There.
Is that line dry now? The line that you put on it?
No, not yet.
How about the bottom one?
The bottom one? Oh, probably not. If I touched it now, it'd smudge, I think. Give me your finger. Oh. Okay, right now my banjo is perpendicular to the ways. And to get this perpendicular, I've got a little mark here where, after much trial and error, I found out that if I line this up with this now, and to that mark, then my protractor that I've got in this piece will be perpendicular as well.
And it looks like you have a stop. Obviously, you adjusted for every piece so
This-
that it's barely touching,
Oh, yeah, yeah, right,
or, well, not touching, but it's floating on top.
yes. Right now, loosen this and slide it. I've got another bolt there that will tell me that puts the line right on center. In theory. Okay. Now, I try to get the edge of this fixture here to where when I'm got my compass in there, I can come right around and get to that line. So to test that, put this empty one in here. And this is a little attachment for the compass that will hold one of these pens. And I found that online as well. And it'll make it. Okay.
Did you make that top piece there? Or
Yeah, that's a scrap piece of aluminum, and drilled a hole for the post, and then I took it over to Steve's on the milling machine and did an arc to precisely every 5 degrees on the compass. Let's see. Okay.
Is that just a punch that you use that to get that little?
Yeah, I tried. I initially did with a punch, and then I needed it more accurate. So then I did it with a little tiny drill bit, or not drill bit, but an angled milling cutter, and poked them in that way. In this particular piece here, I happen to know that I need a 3-inch arc. So I set my pencil compass to 3 inches, and then when it comes time to the ink, I do the same thing. So in order to start here, these first lines, let's see, is that showing up? Where are we at?
Right behind you. It's
Right behind me, okay. I start out here, out to here, and same thing over here. Well, in order not to go past the intersection, I got to do a little pencil line intersection on here that tells me where to stop with the ink, and then later you can erase the pencil. So I start out here at the bottom index there, and it might be good to set this index. I've been in trouble. So I set this one to 0.
now, is that thing that you made where you're setting it?
Yeah, I made this little riser here. These index plates you can buy online. And so these are 60 degrees apart. And so I'll start with 0, do my intersection. I'm going to go around and do one at every 60 degrees.
So you have to figure out what your diameter of that is to know what
Yeah.
distance apart you're going to do then, I take it.
Yeah, a little different radius here will make a different pattern. So.
I'd like to say that Phil has got some super precision equipment there that he made himself. Don't let that stop you, because when we started out doing this at first, we made all that stuff out of wood. We used common old triangles and protractors and compasses, just like you would use if you were doing a drawing at home or something like that. So Phil has taken that to a level that's just pretty doggone awesome. You don't have to have that level of accuracy to play with it and just have fun with it.
Very true. Okay. And we got all the way around. Go back to 0 here. check this one to be 3 inches as well. Okay.
And Phil, you prefer checking it on the ruler rather than just checking it with your other compass and lining tip to tip?
It'd be good to verify that, right? Yep. I've done it both ways, yeah. Okay, now notice if you hold this level, this is higher than the pen because of this offset. Gives me a little bit better perpendicularity when I get down here. Well, ideally, I want to draw this line and I want to stop before I get to that thing, but I can already tell with the way my hands are going, it probably is not going to do that, but we'll do our best. At home, if I get shaky, I can just stop. For these lines, I'm going to go with a 0.6 millimeter. And there's different size lines, just some of them just look better in different applications. Like I've done a couple pens where you need really fine lines because otherwise it gets overwhelming. But I've done it on a little pen, making those lines, the one lines like this. So they come out pretty good on wood doesn't have a lot of character. Okay. Okay. I need to steady your hand here. This is pretty bad. All right. And my angle's not very good here. Let's see if I can fix that. This is already going to be sanded off anyway, so. Oh, this is going to be a good piece. Yeah.
We get to see it when it's all done.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure after he sanded it and redone.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not coming out. I don't know what happened there. All right. Try this. I'll do it over here so you can see what it's not doing right. I don't know why I didn't like this side. And it moved. There it goes. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I do, but it doesn't, little tiny ink line's not gonna hold much dust, but it can affect the line. All right.
Saying that you like to use some denatured alcohol or something on it just to kind of wipe it off.
Yeah, yeah.
And is the type of grain or the type of wood matters?
Yeah, I
'Cause-
usually do a tight grain wood, like maple or cherry works well. Walnut would look good or would work, but it doesn't show up because it's just
Too dark? Okay.
Could you use white? Do they make a white ink that would, or is it just not?
I don't know. I've tried blue, and that kind of works, but the lighter colors, I haven't.
Like a gold or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
it's
assume it would have to
possible.
be a paint, because
Yeah,
you're not
right.
adding, or I mean, that stuff, I don't know how you do white ink.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess they do have white stain that kind of lightens the wood, so.
Okay, these lines are gonna be kind of unique because they're gonna have little waves in them.
That's how we know it's handmade.
That was a really good picture of the top of your head.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're just showing how much hair you got.
Yeah. How much I used to have, huh? All right. What I did here is I went 120 degrees because what I plan on doing is making it look like one of these is underneath and one of them's on top. So I'm doing one of them total first, and then I'll come back and do the 60s afterwards. That's 180, 240. And I probably should just do one section instead of going all the way around. We'll
That took a lot of it out, that second pass.
yeah, I don't have my pen set exactly right. One, and then being all shaky, the other part. All right, so that's the initial ones. Now we'll do the back here to 60. Nope, I gotta finish those first. That's why. Okay. Now I go to the other positions on the compass, and I'll do those lines. Yeah, I'm stopping right at the outside of that first initial boundary. I'm stopping right there on both sides.
Going over the top of the other ink while
Ye-
it's wet bother you, or?
No, it doesn't seem to bother. Yeah. I mean, you get a little bit of blobbing, but not enough to make it look bad.
Yeah. Have you tried using a thinner line for those fills?
For these,
Thinner than the outside, the initial?
oh, no, I haven't. That's a good idea, though. Yeah. Okay.
How do you feel about the first arc and then using the
thin line.
side
Yeah.
thinner?
Yeah.
That gives kind of some contrast.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
See what that looks like.
Or have you tried a different color after you did the initial art?
No, I seems like I'm always working in black, but those are all things that can be in my future or yours.
And that way they will make the base first.
When you're making those and you know how you're supposed to stop at that,
Yeah.
you make a little oops, how hard is that to get? Like just a little bit, like you
Yeah.
went over it, is it a pain in the butt?
No, I'll use an X-Acto knife after it's set a little bit, and you can generally get that up. If it's a little spot, yeah. And then your next layer of urethane will cover that up. Yeah.
How many coats of urethane do you usually total put on one of those?
I usually I'll do 2 coats on here before I consider that the next coat could be a final one. But after that, every coat could be the final one, but I don't know that it's going to be until it's done. So yeah.
Minimum of 3,
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah. So there's 2 on there now. So actually minimum of 5.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do is do these two indexes, and then I'll go to the center one and do that overlay one.
How many hours total does it take you to do a bottom like that?
No idea.
Never tracked them before.
No.
A bunch.
I should, I guess. People ask you guys how long it takes, and you know, I don't know. I think it's very few people that actually know.
Have you sold very many of these?
No.
No.
I'm not very good at marketing, so.
Do you give most of them away as gifts then, that you have done?
I have, but not very many of these. Actually, the ones like with all these curves on it, I've only got probably half a dozen maybe, is all.
It kind of becomes one of your babies by the time you get done with it.
For a while, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let it sit around till I stop noticing that it's dusty, and then I know it's time to try to get rid of it. Okay, so now we'll go to the intermediate one. And this one, I'm going to step over these boundaries. And make it look like it's underneath. Everybody's so quiet.
Mesmerized.
We're waiting for you to mess up. We want to hear what you say.
I've messed up plenty already here, so.
You need one of those microphones that are hearing sensitive, put it on the wood and then do the ASMR. I'm pretty sure the people who do all of that for YouTube make more money on the video than they do selling work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You do all one side, just so you don't get confused when you're doing the other one then, or?
At home, I would do them all first,
I
and then,
mean, you start on one side and you're working your way around.
oh, yeah, it's just
It's
wherever.
personal
Yeah,
preference.
right. Yeah. What would you guys rather I do? Probably want to look at something besides the back of my head, right?
said these lines are a little bit thinner than those thick lines that you took around it, right?
Yeah, yeah, they are. I might get out there. I need a beer. That would settle me down a little bit.
Would that make the hand stay to you or not?
After a while, you need a chair.
Hands would be steadier, but you'd forget what you've done.
Yeah, very likely, yeah.
Do those tips wear out on the hand?
Never had one wear out. I clean them pretty well when I'm done. Just store them in water because they can get clogged up.
Is it like a roller ball type?
No, it's there's a cylinder, and then there's another cylinder on the inside of that, and then there's the
Like a felt or something like it?
yeah. No, it's all metal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but one side's inside the other, so it's just capillary action that's causing the ink to come out. Show up?
Yep.
All right. Now, I wasn't very careful about where the lines stopped. I mean, I can see gaps in there. Normally, you want it right up to where it hits that line to where you can't see any gaps. And there's an area right here. I'm not sure where it shows up where I didn't have it sanded very well, so you can kind of see the ink is not very good there. And so it's just, you got to be really, really careful about getting it sanded well and then not shake when you're doing it. Where are we at? 10 to 9. Let's see. If I do a pen, obviously I still need the index plate So what I did with that is I took the jaws off of a smaller chuck, and this thing will go actually all the way through there, and then it'll catch the number 2 taper on the thing. And then I come from this way and hold it, and then I can still have my indexer there. And what I've done is before is put a little detail here and then one here, and that's far easier than trying to do this with a compass. But and then all you need is a plate, flat plate that fits on here, and then this little sled, just a piece of plastic, and it holds the body of the pen, and then it'll slide on. Have this thing set to where when you got the pen in there, this is on the center of the piece, and then it'll slide across there, and that's much easier to do. Sometimes I don't do a lot of it, but I have. Steve's done a lot of it to where he's actually using a straight edge and doing the lines 45 degrees angles or different angles, and he'll do it with this. And what I found is you have to have the part where the pen contacts this thing, it has to be up off of the surface. So I'll put a little tape back there to hold the straight edge off of the surface, and then when the pen goes across there, the ink doesn't migrate onto the straight edge. And that, you can be pretty accurate by holding that, and once you get used to it.
You're just putting marks from here.
Yeah, say if you wanted, it had squares, and then you wanted cross lines to make it look like cubes on there, where you would have to have some lines on there to, at 45 degrees. So that's another way to do it. Oh, those are, I just wood burn them by hand. Some of them are not very good. Oh, those hearts. Okay. You guys are great with your questions because you're making me remember all the crap I forgot. My son's got a little cutter that he can put things in the computer, and then this little thing will cut them out, okay? So he made me some of these, and there's little hearts on there. And so what I did is cut it out, take the heart off, and then stick the skeleton onto the paper or onto the piece, and then kind of mask around it, and then I airbrush them on. And then pull. Yeah, acrylic. Yeah. Same thing with the little triangles. That's mask off and acrylic paint, airbrush. Well, yeah, that's about it. Unless you got any more questions.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it very much.